The date, June 22nd, 1839. The place, Indian Territory, what would later become known as northeastern Oklahoma. Decades before the outbreak of the American War between the states, a series of political assassinations was poised to launch the Cherokee Nation into a bloody civil war that would last all the way up until 1846. Of the 4 men marked for death that day for the crime of having signed the Treaty of New Echota in 1835, which forced the relocation of the Cherokee people to Indian Territory, one of them, the youngest, managed to escape. Hello good people. Hi, it's Jason with Green Country Agroforestry. I'm back again with another update on the Cherokee Trail of Tears Black Bean, my entry for the Single Seed Challenge of 2020. Now if you're not familiar with what this is, the Single Seed Challenge of 2020 is a not quite competition, but sort of a collaboration between multiple channels all across the world, initiated by Scott Head, aka Black Gumbo Southern Gardening, where we take one single seed, we plant it, and we follow the progress of that seed from the time it's planted till it germinates, till it grows, till we harvest it and ultimately either eat it, save the seeds for future planting, or whatever it is that we're going to do with it. And you get to come along with us and see the entire process. Now, I'll get back to that story that I started out with in just a moment. But for right now, since this is harvest day, I need to go out there and go get those beans down. So, I'll be right back. 2020. And this is, as you can tell from the dowel rod planted into the ground, this corresponds to the single seed that I planted. Of course, I did plant many seeds, but we were keeping track of just this one in particular. And let's have a look at this. This is the, of course, Cherokee Trail of Tears Black Bean. And today is harvest day. We'll pull this bean plant up and we'll have a look at it. So there it is in all its glory. It grew all the way up to the top, produced lots of beans. And I'm dropping some on the ground here. I need to pick these up, bring them in and shell them out, and we'll see what we got out of this particular plant. Of course, all the rest of the plants out here still need to be harvested, but we're just going to work on this one for right now. So let me give that string a tug, and I will endeavor to get these beans and the vine and everything else off of the string, off of the twine. Okay, well, I got it down to point where I can reach it fairly easily. This twine, baling twine, is perfectly good for one season, but it won't really last a second season, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut it. And there's the vine, pods and all. Here we go. I'm just going to start out, actually, put this aside. I'm going to start by just taking the vines and plucking the bean pods off of them. I'll just drop the bean pods down here for the moment. Get these bean pods off. Okay, back to the story. So, it's June 22nd, 1839. Near Park Hill, northeastern Oklahoma, the area that's now known as Cherokee County, Degataga, son of Uwati, is conducting business at his general store, and a friend of the family rides up. Now this friend of the family is most likely going to be the son of one Samuel A. Wooster, a Presbyterian minister who now works at the local newspaper. A friend of the Uwatis, a friend of the Cherokee Nation in general. You may remember him from a previous episode of the Cherokee Trail of Tears Black Bean story as the fellow that wound up going to prison in Georgia because he was working as a missionary with the Cherokee people without first getting a license from the great state of Georgia. Of course, the Supreme Court heard his case, found that he should be immediately released because the state of Georgia did not have the authority to make those sorts of laws regarding another sovereign nation, but the state of Georgia stubbornly held on to Samuel Worcester for a few more years anyway. Well, now Worcester and his family are in Indian Territory, and there's Tekataga, son of Awati, in his store, and up rides this young man who informs him that his brother has just been killed. Not just killed, but kind of bloodily and ritually killed. And of course, Tekataga knows immediately what this means. It means that the jig is up. The chickens have come home to roost. The people that have just come in from the east, being led on the Trail of Tears at gunpoint to their new homes, are finally coming to get rid of those people that signed the Treaty of New Echota, of which Tekataga, his brother, are two of them, and the Ridges, Major Ridge and John Ridge, were the other two of the four signatories of that Treaty of New Echota. Let's get rid of these. And so Tekataga hops on that horse that the young Worcester had ridden in on and hightails it out of there and spends 6 years on the run before finally returning in 1845 to assume a seat on the tribal council. Now, during that time period, there was a very bloody civil war being fought in the Indian Territories, with the faction that had endorsed the treaty on one side and, of course, John Ross's people on the other. And it wasn't until 1845 that they finally settled down, shook hands, and said, okay, let's try to find some peace. And it was, I'm talking bloody. It got so bad that hangings, scalpings, just general killings for revenge for other killings were so commonplace that people didn't even bother talking about it. It happened all the time. Well, then the war between the states in North America broke out, and Uwati's group favored backing the Confederacy. Ross's, of course, were abolitionists, and they supported the Union. Things got a little bit tense, and John Ross, who was then the principal chief, hightailed it for Kansas. And that left Tekataga, son of Uwati, as the de facto principal chief of the Cherokee Nation during the Civil War. Now, he didn't stay in Oklahoma during that time. He rode off and joined the Confederacy himself, eventually achieving the rank of Brigadier General, and gained notoriety as being the last Confederate general to surrender. Following the cessation of hostilities between the North and the South, the Union government refused to enter into any treaties or negotiations with the notorious Stand Watie. And so he stepped down as principal chief, and John Ross reassumed being principal chief, and that is that, as they say. Alright, there we have our beans from that one vine, Cherokee Trail of Tears black bean. I'm sure I dropped a few of them, but there's the beans. Now, those alone are not enough for a mess of beans, but I can go shell out a few more before we start cooking. That'll be our next video. We'll show cooking of these Cherokee Trail of Tears black bean. Well, hey people, that's all I got for you today. As always, if you found the video informative or entertaining, please hit the like button. Don't forget to leave your comments down below. Subscribe to this channel, share this video, bang the notification bell, and good people, I will catch you next time.